Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Every dream you've ever had, every goal you've ever whispered to yourself in the dark, every big, bold vision you're scared to say out loud, all of it depends on what you do with one simple thing: your time. The idea behind the 1 hour rule is simple, but its power is enormous. Dedicate 1 focused hour each day to improving yourself, and your entire life will begin to shift in ways you never imagined. This single hour becomes a sanctuary, a personal appointment with your own potential, where everything else, distractions, excuses, limitations, gets pushed aside. Most not yet met. What they can achieve in 1 hour, because they're too busy looking at the size of the dream instead of the size of the daily commitment. But greatness has never required giant leaps. It has always been built on small, consistent steps repeated long enough to create momentum. That single hour is where momentum is born. Imagine carving out an hour where your phone is off, your mind is clear, and your focus is sharp. In that hour, you could read something that expands your thinking, practice a skill that increases your value, learn something new that moves you forward, or train your mind and body to grow stronger. You could use that hour to plan, to reflect, or to build something brick by brick. 1 hour of intention holds more power than 10 hours of distraction, because effort only matters when it is pointed in the right direction. What makes the 1 hour rule transformative is not the time itself, but the discipline, respect, and commitment you learn to give yourself. Most people talk about wanting to change their lives, but they never rearrange their time. They want progress without sacrifice, results without routine, and success without structure. 1 hour a day forces you to take yourself seriously. It teaches you that your future is something you create, not something you hope for. When you show up for yourself consistently, even if no one else sees it, you start to build trust with yourself. You begin proving, day after day, that you are capable of following through, and that confidence becomes the fuel that pushes you toward bigger steps, bigger risks, and bigger rewards. In that 1 hour, you're not just working on a task. You're rewriting habits, reshaping your mindset, and reprogramming your identity. You're sending yourself a message that your growth matters. Every minute you invest compounds like interest in a bank. 1 hour spent today might save you years of struggle later. 1 hour spent mastering a skill might open doors you didn't even know existed. 1 hour spent strengthening your discipline might become the reason you don't quit when things get hard. There will always be people who say they don't have time, but the truth is, we all get the same 24 hours. The difference lies in how we choose to use them. The 1 hour rule challenges you to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start building the future you want with the time you have right now. Just 1 hour a day, done consistently, has the power to transform who you are, how you think, and ultimately the life you live. Small, consistent efforts have a way of transforming a person's life in ways that often feel invisible at first, but become undeniable over time. Most people believe that the only way to achieve something extraordinary is through massive action, dramatic changes, and sudden breakthroughs. But life rarely works in explosive moments. It works in layers, in repetitions, in daily decisions that quietly stack up. A single day of effort may feel insignificant. A single practice session may feel unnoticeable, and a single step may feel too small to matter. But when those small steps are repeated long enough, they create a path. When those tiny efforts are layered on top of each other, they build a foundation. When the average person quits, the person who keeps showing up slowly becomes exceptional. Consistency is often underestimated because it lacks excitement. It doesn't feel like winning the lottery or getting a sudden promotion. It feels ordinary. It feels routine. Sometimes it even feels boring. But hidden inside that routine is the secret ingredient that separates growth from stagnation. Anyone can get motivated for a day. Anyone can start strong. But the one who finishes strong is the one who returns to the work even when the excitement disappears. Over time, those repeated actions compound the same way money grows through interest. Small deposits made regularly, turning into something significant. Think about how skills are built. No one wakes up one morning as a master speaker, a skilled athlete, or an expert in their field. These achievements come from countless hours of practice, repetition, and quiet improvement. Each time you practice, even if it's just for a short period, your brain forms new connections, your technique improves, and your confidence grows. You may not notice these changes day by day, but look back after months or years, and the difference is dramatic. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural, and what once required effort becomes effortless. The same principle applies to habits. One healthy meal doesn't change your body. One workout doesn't transform your strength. One moment of discipline doesn't rewrite your life. But the habit of showing up again and again does. Consistency turns difficult habits into easy habits, and easy habits into automatic routines. These routines eventually shape your identity. You begin to see yourself differently, not just as someone trying, but as someone becoming. The internal shift is powerful, and it fuels further progress. Even opportunities respond to consistent effort. When people see you committed, reliable, and improving, they begin to trust you with more responsibility. Doors open because consistency signals character. It signals grit. It signals that you are someone worth investing in. Big opportunities rarely come to people who show up only when they feel like it. They come to people who show up whether they feel like it or not. When you understand that small, consistent efforts compound, you stop being discouraged by slow progress. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop quitting when results don't appear immediately. Instead, you learn to trust the process, knowing that every effort, no matter how small, is a brick being laid in the structure of your future. Over time, those bricks become walls, those walls become buildings, and that building becomes the life you dreamed of living. Discipline is one of the most underestimated forces in a person's journey towards success, yet it is the single quality that consistently separates those who achieve greatness from those who simply wish for it. Talent might open a door, and luck might give you a moment, but discipline is what keeps you moving long after excitement fades and motivation disappears. People often think that the gifted, the brilliant, or the naturally skilled are the ones destined for success. But if you pay close attention to the world, you'll see that the people who win are not always the most talented. They are the most disciplined. They show up even when they're tired, even when they're discouraged, even when they don't feel inspired. They understand that progress doesn't depend on mood, it depends on commitment. Discipline is a quiet force. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or dramatic breakthroughs. It shows up in small decisions, waking up early, practicing when everyone else is resting, putting in the extra hour, saying no to distractions, and choosing long-term goals over temporary comfort. These decisions aren't glamorous, and most people avoid them because they want results without sacrifice. But the truth is, simple as success demands structure, and discipline is the structure that holds your dreams up when your emotions try to bring them down. When you're disciplined, you start living intentionally instead of reactively. You stop letting circumstances dictate your actions. You stop depending on inspiration to carry you. You begin to understand that discipline turns actions into habits and habits into success. It becomes the engine that keeps you moving forward, even when the road is slow, even when progress is hard to see. That's why disciplined people seem unstoppable. They've trained themselves to keep going, regardless of how they feel in the moment. Discipline also builds character. It teaches you patience because you learn that great things cannot be rushed. It teaches you resilience because you face resistance every day and keep pushing anyway. It teaches you responsibility because you learn to be accountable to yourself. And over time, discipline builds a reputation. People begin to notice. They start trusting you to deliver, to lead, to follow through. Opportunities come to disciplined individuals not because they are lucky, but because they have proven they can handle what others cannot. Another power of discipline is that it breeds confidence. When you consistently do what you said you would do, you start to believe in yourself. You create proof that you can overcome laziness, doubt, and excuses. Each day you honor your commitments, you strengthen your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who hopes to succeed and start seeing yourself as someone who is built for success. That shift changes everything. Most importantly, discipline gives you freedom. While it may seem rigid from the outside, discipline actually liberates you. It frees you from procrastination, from regret, from the chaos of an unplanned life. It ensures that your future isn't left to chance. You become the author of your own story, shaping it one consistent action at a time. When talent fails, when motivation weakens, and when circumstances shift, discipline keeps you standing. It becomes the foundation upon which every dream can grow. Success begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in your circumstances, and this is a truth that many people overlook. The thoughts you allow to live in your head become the blueprint for the life you build. Every action you take, every decision you make, every habit you form is rooted what you believe about yourself and what you believe is possible. If your mind is filled with doubt, fear, and self-limiting beliefs, your actions will reflect that. You will move slowly, hesitate often, and give up easily. But when your mind is fed with vision, belief, and purpose, your life begins to move in a direction that matches the strength of your thoughts. Success doesn't start when you get an opportunity. It starts when you mentally decide you are capable of rising to meet it. The mind is powerful enough to either push you forward or hold you prisoner. Many people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they never allowed their thoughts to reach beyond their current circumstances. They let their environment shape their mindset instead of letting their mindset reshape their environment. You can live in struggle and still think abundance. You can be surrounded by limitations and still think possibility. This ability to choose your thoughts, no matter what's happening around you, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. The mind creates a lens through which you see your life, your challenges, and your potential. Change the lens, and everything comes into focus differently. Success requires mental preparation because every level of achievement comes with pressure, responsibility, and obstacles. If your mind isn't strong enough, you will crumble the moment things get difficult. But when you train your mind to stay focused, to stay calm, And to stay resilient, you create a mental toughness that carries you through storms. You learn to silence the inner critic that says you're not enough. You learn to ignore external voices that try to discourage you. And you learn to trust yourself even when the path isn't clear. This is why people who succeed often speak about mindset more than anything else. They understand that every outward victory begins with an inward battle. The thoughts you repeat shape your belief system, and your belief system shapes your behavior. If you continuously tell yourself you're not worthy, not talented, or not capable, you will live down to those expectations. But if you feed your mind thoughts of growth, effort, learning, and resilience, you begin to expand your capacity. Suddenly opportunities feel reachable, effort feels meaningful, and challenges feel like stepping stones instead of roadblocks. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens through deliberate, daily mental conditioning. Just as the body grows stronger through exercise, the mind grows stronger through intentional thought. Your mind also influences your confidence, and confidence determines how boldly you pursue your goals. When you believe in yourself, you take action. You take risks. You speak up. You try again even after you fail. Confidence is not arrogance. It's the quiet understanding that you have what it takes to grow into the person you want to become. And that understanding starts with the thoughts you allow yourself to entertain. When your mind aligns with your goals, your actions follow with purpose. You begin to walk differently, plan differently, work differently. Your energy changes, your expectations rise, and you attract opportunities that match your new mindset. Long before success shows up on the outside, it begins as a powerful shift on the inside. Taking ownership of your time is one of the greatest acts of self-respect you can ever practice, because time is the only resource you can never get back once it's spent. Every minute that passes is gone forever, and how you use those minutes determines the quality of your future. Many people say they want a better life, more success, more opportunities, more growth, but they hand their time away freely to distractions, procrastination, and unimportant routines. They allow other people, external situations, or even their own habits to control their schedule. When you decide to take ownership of your time, you are making a statement to the world and to yourself that your goals matter, your dreams matter, and your life matters. Time ownership starts with recognizing that nobody is coming to organize your life for you. There is no referee who will blow the whistle and tell you when to start working on your dreams. There is no supervisor for your personal goals. You have to choose to step into that responsibility yourself. When you take ownership of your time, you stop living reactively, letting life happen to you, and start living proactively, designing your days with intention. You begin choosing what deserves your energy instead of giving it away to whatever is loudest or most convenient in the moment. One of the biggest challenges people face is that they underestimate the power of small time commitments. They think they need long, uninterrupted blocks of time to make progress, so they keep waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. But true ownership means using the time you have, not the time you wish you had. 10 focused minutes can do more for your growth than an hour wasted in distraction. When you learn to control how your minutes are spent, you eventually then control how your life unfolds. Another important part of time ownership is learning to say no. Every yes you give away to something unimportant is a no taken away from something essential. Many people drown in obligations because they fear disappointing others, But they forget that neglecting their own dreams is a far greater disappointment in the long run. When you claim your time, you learn that it's okay to protect it. It's okay to decline things that don't align with your goals. It's okay to prioritize yourself. This isn't selfishness. It's responsibility. It's understanding that you cannot build your future if your present is constantly being borrowed by everyone else's demands. Owning your time also teaches discipline and clarity. When you decide exactly what each hour of your day is meant to accomplish, you stop living by chance. You begin to see progress because your actions are no longer random. You become more aware of where your energy goes, more intentional with the work you do, and more determined to avoid the traps that used to steal your productivity. Your time becomes a tool instead of a burden, a resource instead of a limitation. Ultimately, taking ownership of your time means taking ownership of your future. It places you in the driver's seat of your life instead of the passenger seat. It gives you control, direction, and purpose. And once you fully understand the power of your time, you stop wasting it. You start investing it. The hour you invest in yourself becomes the foundation for your greatness, because it is the one part of your day that is fully dedicated to building the version of you that your future will depend on. In a world filled with noise, demands, responsibilities, and constant distraction, giving yourself one solid hour is like carving out sacred space to grow, to sharpen, and to rise. That hour is where transformation begins. Not in the moments when life forces you to change, but in the moments when you decide to change yourself. People often overlook how powerful 1 hour can be because they think true growth requires long stretches of time or perfect circumstances. But real transformation rarely happens in perfect conditions. It happens in ordinary moments when you choose to make them extraordinary by showing up for your development. The hour you invest becomes a foundation because it builds consistency, and consistency is what gives structure to your life. Think of a building. It doesn't stand tall because someone placed one massive block at the bottom. It stands because brick after brick, layer after layer, was carefully put into place. Your 1 hour is that brick. Every day you stack another. Over time, those bricks form walls, then rooms, then entire structures of capability, confidence, and character. People who skip that hour may not notice a difference immediately, but months later the gap becomes clear. The ones who invest grow stronger, more skilled, more prepared, while those who ignore the hour stay where they are, stuck in the same patterns, wishing for progress, but not planting the seeds that create it. That hour also becomes a foundation because it is the time when you reconnect with yourself. Life pulls you in 1,000 directions, but in that hour, you return to the center. You remember what you're striving for. You remind yourself of your goals. You refocus your energy. That hour becomes a quiet declaration. My growth matters. When you make time for yourself, you stop waiting for life to give you permission to change. You stop hoping other people will push you. You become your own motivator, your own teacher, your own coach. And that identity shift is powerful because it teaches you responsibility and self-leadership, qualities that become essential in every chapter of success. The hour you invest also strengthens your discipline. When you commit to showing up daily, even when you're tired, busy, or unmotivated, you build a level of mental toughness that most people never experience. That toughness becomes a shield against procrastination, a defense against doubt, and a weapon against fear. Once you've trained yourself to use 1 hour intentionally, you begin realizing how much of your life can actually be controlled with intention. You stop drifting through your days and start directing them. The hour is not simply about what you do during that time. It's about who you become because of that time. This hour becomes a foundation because of the habits it shapes. What you are.